When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead by Jerry Weintraub. This book proposes such a quaint blend of self-discovery and business and sales. My drive back from Atlanta mid-January, I spent a good handful of hours listening to it, and it was a very surreal experience. I felt like for hours I was living the grand lifetime of someone else in my mind, roaming back up to Pennsylvania. The author is from New York. You could probably tell just by the storytelling alone. These little anecdotes are told throughout the book. Useful anecdotes, obviously, as it says in the subtitle, that give it this sort of flavor. They end in these little insights. Every one of them seems to pack a sort of punch. And it all combines into this warm sensation of, I'm a salesman and I live thoughtfully on this planet. The different stories are just rich with the fun fulfillments of America's promise in the 20th century. Now, I'm not gonna spoil those, but I am going to spoil the most recent season of 13 Reasons Why and say that Alex kills Bryce. And when my girlfriend found that out, she was not happy. But I'm really only saying it because it's like the difference between screaming pussy dick in a rowdy Texas strip club versus a kindergarten science class. That, and I really feel like most people who watch my videos don't really care at all about 13 Reasons Why. In this book, kind of a selective autobiography, Jerry Weintraub, a fellow Jew of mine, the author paints us these pictures. The most notable one probably being his experience managing and taking Elvis Presley on the road. He talks a lot about different relationships that he's had with celebrities and political figures like George Bush, and how he was able to grow with them just by winning them over with his attitude, his demeanor. Something else that's interesting is how this man switched up his career probably like every 10 years or so without even meaning to, but still being incredibly successful at each career throughout the process. Something else is that instead of just admitting he did something wrong up front, he would just improvise his way around it and allow himself to be lucky because of that. And that constantly seemed to work for him and other people at the expense of which it occurred to. I don't know if that last part made sense, grammatically speaking. But the reason all of this seemed to work, in my estimation at least, there are two things. One of them is his ability to persist, and the other is his ability to deal with people. I haven't studied every successful person in history, but I can guarantee you one thing. There is no substitute for either of these two things. He talks about his experience managing Frank Sinatra,
who preferred assertively to be called Francis,
John Denver, and Led Zeppelin, my favorite classic rock band, and Bobby Fischer, the insane, legendary chess player. Then he talks about smashing that like button, in case you haven't already, for the YouTube algorithm. It helps with ranking and SEO and all this other stuff, and I really appreciate it because so much work goes into making these videos. You'd be surprised. And then he talks about the death of Elvis and says that if you are a celebrity and you want a pill, you'll have it. This eerily reminded me of Mac Miller. It is strange and greatly unfortunate, to me at least, what fame does to some people, especially the type of fame Elvis had. So the author went from artist management straight to Hollywood production. He said the only reason he didn't do it before is that no one asked him to. And this made me think, maybe this guy just says yes to a lot of things that he sees as bigger than what he's already doing. And over time, the things that he said yes to, they became more calculated based on his experience and what he had heard from other people. The end of this book it's beautiful. It talks about just way more than this, but this experience that he had with this rabbi that helped him realize the importance and the value in seeing ourselves as part of something that is only growing and never dying. And it's very touching because it makes you look at yourself and wonder if you are heading in a direction that best suits you. I am deeply scared of what happens when people don't do this, but I'm just as scared as I am ecstatic when they do, myself included. And that's another reason, one of 7,382, roughly, why I do these book reviews. Quotes, I sometimes think a person is a kind of memory machine. You collect and sort and remember and then you tell. Never get paid once for doing something twice. At the end of the day, write down exactly what you have. Put that number in your left pocket. Now write down exactly what you owe. Put that number in your right pocket. As long as the number in your left pocket is bigger than the number in your right pocket, you will have a good life. Buy the steak yourself. It pays better. Being looked at like you're crazy by a crazy man is a singular experience. I could not give them what my parents gave me, so I gave them the world instead. This is why politicians seek out movie stars and why movie stars want to become politicians. They seek the same target, which is the soul of the people. If you don't have enough money to start, you don't have enough money to fail. Direction 1. I recommend this book to anyone who thinks that old people are boring and don't have interesting stories to tell. I'm serious. I also recommend this book to anyone who wants to learn how to tell more interesting stories. And, in some ways, grow older. And I also recommend it to anyone who really lacks self-confidence and wants to build it more in themselves. That, and anyone who does have self-confidence but lacks resourcefulness. Because think of it, this guy he left his family to live even bigger from his own bare hands. He didn't rely on resources, and I think the stories in this book tell that very glaringly, there's some word for this, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but he relied on himself, and I swear that comes from self-confidence. He just has this extremely, commit first, figure it out later type of mentality that Grant Cardone, for one, uses and oozes and seems to praise in his books. Direction 2. If you like this book, I definitely recommend checking out Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger, his autobiography, because more than anything, that guy went from career to career multiple times and succeeded at each one on a big scale because he likes to think big. He doesn't just like to think big, but he likes to act and be big about things. When I Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead by Jerry Weintraub. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and maybe read the reviews, that and all the other books that I mentioned in this video. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know why people watch this far into the video and they don't subscribe. And if you want to turn on that notification bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.